People talk a lot about love like it's a game, moves, strategies, rules, but real connection, it's not a game, it's energy. When you show up as your most grounded, peaceful, and real self, something happens, you stop chasing, and she starts noticing. Because the truth is, the moment you stop trying to get someone, you start becoming someone worth being with. So today I want to share 3 moves, not tricks, not manipulation, just ways of being that naturally make her chase you. Even when you stop trying, the world doesn't really stop anymore. It's constant motion. Screens lighting up, messages pinging, people rushing somewhere, chasing something, afraid to miss out. But in all that noise, there's something we've forgotten. The power of stillness, the quiet space between words, the calm beneath the storm. It's in that space that people truly see you. Stillness isn't about doing nothing. It's about being everything. Grounded, centered, aware. When you walk into a room, calm and collected. When your energy doesn't flinch at chaos, people feel it. You don't have to say much. Your presence speaks for you. It tells the world, I'm at peace with myself. And that's magnetic because peace is rare. Everyone's chasing something, attention, validation, love, but stillness doesn't chase. Stillness attracts. There's this study from Princeton, you might have heard about it. It showed that people can sense confidence, authenticity, and emotional stability within 1/10 of a second of seeing someone's face. That's not a lot of time, which means your energy introduces you before you even say hello. When you're grounded, when you're comfortable in your own silence, you project something beyond words, something real, and people are drawn to that. You've probably met someone like that, the person who doesn't rush to speak, who takes their time to think, who seems unaffected by the noise around them. There's something mysterious about them, not because they're hiding anything, but because they're present. Their silence isn't empty, it's full of awareness. You start wondering what's going on in their mind. You lean in a little closer. That's the pull of stillness. It invites curiosity without demanding attention. And here's the truth. Stillness comes from knowing yourself. It comes from no longer needing to prove your worth. Most people are loud because they're uncertain. They fill the air with words because silence makes them confront themselves. But when you've faced your fears, when you've made peace with your flaws, silence becomes your ally. You don't fear the pause anymore. You own it. Think about moments in your life when you felt completely present, standing by the ocean, watching the sunset, listening to music that stopped time for a second. You weren't thinking, you weren't planning, you weren't performing. You were there. That's stillness. And when you carry that energy into your interactions, something changes. You stop reacting to every little thing she says. You stop needing to fill every silence with clever words or compliments. You simply exist. Calm, steady, unshaken, and she notices. She feels safe around you. She feels drawn to you. Stillness is confidence without ego. It's desire without desperation. It's interest without attachment. It's the quiet strength that says, I'm okay even if you walk away. And ironically, that's when people want to stay, because stillness creates space. Space for connection, space for authenticity. Space for real attraction to grow. When you stop chasing, when you stop trying to impress, when you stop needing the moment to go your way, you become free, and that freedom is captivating. It's like standing under a clear night sky, calm, infinite, unhurried. You don't need to shout to be seen. You don't need to perform to be loved. You just need to be. So if you want her to chase you, or really, if you want anyone to feel drawn to you, stop running, breathe, be still, let your calm speak for you. Because in a world full of noise, the quiet one who carries peace inside them always stands out. You ever notice how easy it is to lose yourself when you start caring about someone? You start bending your schedule, shifting your habits, making little compromises that, at first, seem harmless. You want to make them happy. You want to show them that you care, but somewhere along the way, your world starts to orbit theirs, and slowly, you forget that you were once the center of your own life. That's where everything begins to unravel. When you stop prioritizing yourself, the law of self-priority isn't about being selfish. It's about remembering that the most powerful thing you can offer anyone is a whole, fulfilled version of yourself. When your sense of worth depends on someone else's approval, you become a shadow. You stop shining from within and start waiting for light to hit you from outside. But attraction, real attraction, doesn't come from needing someone. It comes from being someone. The kind of person who's alive, passionate, driven, curious, full of purpose. That's what draws people in. It's not how much you do for them, it's how much you do for yourself. It's the energy you bring, not the attention you give. You've probably seen it play out before. A person chases so hard they forget to breathe, they forget to live. Every text becomes a test. Every silence feels like rejection. That energy, it's heavy. It pushes people away, not because it's bad, but because it signals emptiness. Nobody wants to be someone's entire source of happiness. It's too much weight to carry. But when you're fulfilled, when you have things in your life that light you up, your work, your friends, your goals, your energy changes. You stop pulling. You start glowing. You stop asking for validation. You start inspiring admiration. There's a quiet strength in someone who knows what they stand for, what they love, and what they're willing to walk away from. People who respect themselves have a certain rhythm to the way they move through life. They're not chasing love. They're creating a life that love naturally fits into. They don't make someone else their purpose. They live their purpose and invite someone to walk beside them. That's powerful. That's rare. And that's what makes people want to be close to you, because your presence feels like home, not a cage. Imagine someone waking up early to work on a dream, not because they have to, but because it makes them feel alive. They train, they read, they build, they explore. They pour energy into becoming better, stronger, wiser, more compassionate. That kind of person doesn't need to tell anyone who they are. It's obvious. You can feel it in the way they walk, the way they listen, the way they choose peace over attention. And that's when people start chasing, not because they're being ignored, but because they feel drawn to something real. The truth is, when you prioritize yourself, you stop being needy. You stop being afraid of losing someone because you realize you'll never lose yourself again. You start loving from a place of abundance, not scarcity. You give because you want to, not because you need to. And that shift, it changes everything. It changes how people see you. It changes how they treat you. It changes the kind of energy you attract. So, what does it mean to live by the law of self-priority? It means saying yes to your growth, even if it means saying no to someone else's comfort. It means protecting your time, your peace, your dreams. It means choosing a version of yourself that you're proud to be, not one that's built around someone else's expectations, because when you love yourself enough to put your needs first, the world doesn't fall apart. It actually starts to align. People respect you more. They value your time more. They chase your energy, not your attention. And when she sees you like that, focused, grounded, alive, she won't just notice you. She'll feel you, because there's nothing more attractive than someone who knows who they are, where they're going, and refuses to apologize for walking their path. That's the law of self-priority. When you stop making someone else your center, you become the kind of person who naturally draws the world toward them. There's something strange, almost beautiful, about letting go. We spend so much of our lives holding on to people, to expectations, to outcomes. We grip so tightly, thinking that if we just try hard enough, care deeply enough, love completely enough, we can make things stay. But love, connection, they're not something you can hold in your hands. They're something you feel, and when you try to control them, they slip away. That's the mystery of detachment. When you stop needing something to happen, it suddenly has room to grow on its own. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you walk away cold or emotionless. It means you love without fear. You give without keeping score. You open yourself up to the moment, not the outcome. You stop trying to force someone to see your worth, and instead you just live it. And when you do that, something powerful happens. People start to feel your freedom. They start to feel your calm. You become the one thing the world can't easily find. Someone who doesn't chase because they already have everything they need within themselves. There's a moment in every connection when things start to feel uncertain. You send a message, and there's no reply. You start replaying conversations, trying to find what went wrong. You overthink, you analyze, you spiral. We've all been there. It's exhausting. But imagine this. Instead of falling into that storm, you take a breath. You accept that maybe you don't control this moment. Maybe it's not about getting a response. Maybe it's about trusting that what's meant for you will find its way back. That shift from panic to peace, that's detachment. It's not indifference, it's power. You see, when you cling too tightly, you create tension. And people can feel that. They sense when your attention comes with expectation. But when you release the need to control, when your energy is light and open, people relax around you. They don't feel judged. They don't feel trapped. They feel drawn in. It's like standing near a quiet fire on a cold night. They want to be close, not because you demand it, but because it feels good to be there. Think about it. The time someone pulled away from you, didn't it make you curious? Didn't it make you wonder what they were doing, who they were becoming, what was holding their attention? That curiosity doesn't come from absence. It comes from confidence, from someone who isn't waiting for approval, but living fully in their own world. That's the essence of detachment. It says, I'm here, but I don't need you to complete me. It's not arrogance, it's self-respect. There's an old truth. Love grows in freedom. When you let go of trying to be everything for someone, you give them the space to miss you, to appreciate you, to choose you. And that choice, when it's made freely, means something real. Detachment isn't about walking away, it's about walking tall. It's about knowing that your peace isn't negotiable, and that the right people won't need to be chased. They'll come closer on their own. In a world that teaches us to chase, to hustle, to prove, detachment feels unnatural. But the strongest people aren't the ones who hold on the tightest. They're the ones who can let go and still remain open. They trust the flow of life. They understand that losing something doesn't always mean loss. Sometimes it's just space being made for something better, something truer. And that's the beauty of it. When you stop trying to make everything happen, life begins to unfold in its own rhythm. You stop forcing connections and you start attracting them. You stop begging for love and you start embodying it. You stop waiting for validation and you start becoming the kind of person who doesn't need it. That's when the energy shifts. That's when she starts to chase, not because you pulled away, but because you finally became untouchably calm, completely free, and beautifully whole. There's a kind of gravity that comes from living with purpose. It pulls people toward you without effort, without noise, without the need to prove anything. You can't fake it and you can't force it. It's that quiet certainty that you're here for something more, that your life, your choices, your energy, all move in a direction that means something. Purpose gives weight to your steps. It gives depth to your presence. It's the difference between drifting through life and moving through it. Most people are drifting. They wake up, go through the motions, chase comfort, chase approval, chase moments that fade too quickly, and then they wonder why everything feels hollow. It's because without purpose, you're floating, reacting, adjusting, trying to fill a space that can't be filled by anything external. But when you find your purpose, even a small glimpse of it, everything changes. You wake up differently, you walk differently. The world starts to bend around your direction. That's gravity, and it's powerful. Purpose doesn't mean you have to save the world or build an empire. It's not about grand gestures, it's about knowing why you do what you do. It could be creating something that inspires others. It could be protecting your family, mastering your craft, teaching, building, helping, healing. Purpose isn't measured in size. It's measured in sincerity. When your actions align with something that matters to you, something beyond ego, people can feel it. You start to radiate authenticity, and authenticity is magnetic. There's a quiet man I once met, an artist who spent his days restoring old guitars. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, but there was something about him that drew people in. You could see it in his hands, steady and sure. In his eyes, calm but alive. He told me, I just love giving old things new voices. That was his purpose. It wasn't loud, but it was pure. And that purity gave him presence. People came from miles away just to watch him work. Not because he asked for attention, but because purpose has a way of shining through the smallest cracks. That's the thing. When you live with purpose, you don't need to chase admiration. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You're too busy living it. The world respects people who know who they are and what they're about. It's why some people walk into a room and instantly command attention without saying a word. Their energy says, I'm going somewhere. I know why I'm here. And that certainty, that groundedness, it's irresistible. A Harvard study from a few years ago found that people with a clear sense of purpose were not only more attractive, but also perceived as more emotionally stable and trustworthy. There's something inherently appealing about direction. It makes people feel safe, inspired, drawn in. When you know where you're going, others want to come along for the journey. They want to be near that momentum, that light. Because deep down, everyone craves meaning. Everyone wants to feel part of something that matters, but purpose isn't found by waiting. It's discovered through movement, through trying, failing, learning, and getting back up. It's in the small moments when you choose discipline over distraction, patience over comfort, vision over fear. It's the quiet voice that says, there's more to you than this. The world is loud, full of empty noise, and it's easy to get lost in it. But purpose cuts through that noise. It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking better questions. What do I value? What do I want to create? What kind of energy do I want to leave behind when I'm gone? When you start living those questions, you stop drifting. You stop trying to fit in places that don't feel right. You stop settling for people who drain you. You start building a life that reflects who you are, not who you think you're supposed to be. And when that happens, people notice, especially her, because there's something deeply attractive about someone who's passionate about their life. It's not the passion for her that captures her attention. It's the passion for yourself, your path, your growth, your evolution. There's a difference between wanting someone to complete you and wanting someone to walk beside you. When you have purpose, you don't need to be completed. You're already whole. You're already in motion. You're not asking someone to save you from boredom or insecurity. You're inviting them to share in your fire. That's the kind of energy that makes people chase you, not because they feel obligated, but because they feel alive in your presence. Purpose makes love deeper, friendships richer, life fuller. I think one of the biggest traps people fall into is waiting for permission, waiting for a sign, waiting for perfect timing, waiting for validation. But purpose doesn't need permission. It just needs movement. You find it by stepping into life, by exploring, by failing, by being brave enough to look stupid sometimes. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking about the path. It comes from walking it. Every stumble, every setback, every quiet victory builds momentum. And that momentum becomes your gravity. People can feel when you've found that rhythm. It's not about money. It's not about status. It's not even about success. It's about peace. Purpose gives you peace, even in chaos. It gives you direction when everything around you feels uncertain. When you're living with purpose, you can lose things, relationships, jobs, comfort, and still be grounded because you know you're not lost. You're just moving forward. You're still aligned with something that matters. That's a kind of strength that doesn't fade. So many people spend their energy chasing what they think will make them happy. Attention, validation, control. But happiness isn't something you chase. It's something that finds you when you're doing what you're meant to do. And when you reach that point, when you're living with that gravity, you stop being desperate for love or approval. You stop over-explaining your worth. You just live. And the right people, the right opportunities, they start finding their way to you. Purpose makes you magnetic because it gives you something deeper than charm. It gives you presence. You stop floating through conversations. You listen differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who's anchored. People can sense that. They feel safer around it. They feel inspired by it. They want to be near it because deep down, everyone's looking for someone who reminds them that life can mean something. And maybe that's what the gravity of purpose really is. It's not just about drawing people toward you. It's about drawing the best version of yourself out of you. It's about waking up every day with a reason to move, a reason to give, a reason to love. It's the quiet promise you make to yourself that no matter what happens, you'll keep walking with meaning. Because when you live like that, you don't have to chase anything. You become the kind of person who naturally attracts everything that's meant for you. There's a quiet kind of strength that doesn't need to be loud, doesn't need to dominate, doesn't need to prove anything. It's not about who can speak the hardest or who can control the most. It's the kind of strength that sits in silence, calm, steady, certain, the kind that listens before it speaks, the kind that carries compassion in one hand and courage in the other. That's the gentle art of kind strength. A balance between firmness and empathy, between power and peace. It's not something you perform, it's something you are. The world teaches us to equate strength with hardness, to be unshakable, unfeeling, unyielding. We grow up believing that to be respected, we have to show force. But real strength isn't about building walls, it's about standing tall without losing your heart. It's easy to be tough when you close yourself off. It's harder to stay open, to care, to love, and still be unbreakable. That's where true power lies. Not in the punch, but in the pause. Not in control, but in composure. When you're strong but kind, people feel safe around you. They can relax in your presence. They trust you, not because you're intimidating, but because you're grounded. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You don't need to win every argument to prove your worth. You don't need to dominate to lead. Your energy speaks before you do. It tells the world, I know who I am. And that certainty, that calm confidence, is magnetic. There was a man I met once, quiet, soft-spoken, but there was something about him that made everyone listen when he talked. He never interrupted, never rushed, never needed to prove he was the smartest person in the room. But when he spoke, people leaned in. His words carried weight because they came from a place of understanding, not ego. That's kind strength. The power to make an impact without breaking anything in the process. You see, anger, control, intimidation, they're easy. They come from fear. But kindness requires courage. It takes strength to stay calm when someone disrespects you. It takes maturity to walk away from chaos instead of feeding it. It takes wisdom to know that your peace is worth more than being right. That's what separates the truly strong from those who are just pretending. And when it comes to connection, whether it's love, friendship, leadership, kind strength is what people are drawn to, especially her. She's not looking for someone who can shout louder than the world. She's looking for someone who can stay calm in it, someone who can stand beside her, not above her, someone who can be her peace, not her storm. The world is full of noise, of people trying to prove their worth through power, but the one who can lead with gentleness, that's the one people follow willingly. Think about it. When was the last time someone truly made you feel safe just by being near? It wasn't the person who tried to control you. It wasn't the one who wanted to win every moment. It was the person who was present, who listened, who didn't flinch when things got hard. Strength isn't about holding your ground just to be stubborn. It's about knowing when to hold on and when to let go. It's about choosing peace over pride. There's a moment in life, many actually, when your strength will be tested. Someone will cross a line. Someone will misunderstand you. Someone will try to pull you into their storm. That's when kind strength matters most. You could fight, shout, demand, but that would only prove you've been pulled out of your center. Real strength is staying calm enough to choose your response instead of reacting. It's not weakness to walk away from something that doesn't serve you. It's wisdom, it's restraint, it's mastery over your own energy. There's beauty in a man who can hold space for others without losing himself, who can protect without possessing, who can be kind without being soft. It's rare, and it's powerful. The strongest people I've ever known weren't the ones who hit back. They were the ones who stayed steady when the world tried to shake them. They didn't let pain turn them bitter. They didn't let power make them cruel. They chose love, even when love felt risky. They chose calm, even when chaos felt justified. That's the kind of strength that lasts. And it's not just emotional, it's spiritual. When you carry kind strength, it shows in how you move, how you treat people, how you carry your presence. You become the person others look to when things fall apart. You become the grounding force in the storm, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. People can feel when they're around someone who's at peace within themselves. It's like gravity, it draws them closer. Kind strength isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about knowing that you can be gentle and still be fierce, that you can love deeply without losing yourself, that you can forgive without being naive, that you can walk away without anger and still care from afar. It's about knowing your power and using it responsibly. Anyone can flex their muscles, few can master their emotions. And when you do, when you learn that balance between empathy and assertiveness, you become someone who doesn't just demand respect, you earn it. It takes time to build that kind of strength. You'll stumble, you'll react sometimes, You'll say things you wish you hadn't, but every time you return to your calm, every time you choose compassion instead of anger, every time you stand tall in silence when the world tries to drag you down, you're becoming stronger. You're becoming someone who doesn't just survive life's storms but leads others through them. There's something profoundly beautiful about being strong enough to be kind, to walk through the world knowing that you can protect yourself and still stay soft enough to feel. That duality, that gentle power, is what makes you magnetic. You become a reminder to others that strength doesn't have to hurt, that love doesn't have to weaken, that peace doesn't have to mean surrender. You show that it's possible to stand firm and still open your heart, and maybe that's the secret. Real strength isn't in how hard you can hit, it's in how much love you can give while standing unshaken. The world needs more people like that. People who carry peace in their presence, who use strength to build, not break, who lead with kindness, not control. When you learn the art of kind strength, you stop trying to be impressive. You start being impactful. You stop trying to dominate the world. You start harmonizing with it. And when you do that, when your strength becomes gentle, your power becomes quiet, and your heart remains open, you become the kind of person who doesn't have to chase anything, the right people, the right moments, the right love. They all find their way to you, because kind strength doesn't just stand out. It stays. It leaves a mark not on the world's surface, but on its soul. So, if you remember nothing else, remember this. When you master stillness, when you prioritize yourself, when you let go of control, when you live with purpose, and when your strength comes from kindness, you stop chasing and you start attracting, because in the end, love doesn't follow the loudest person in the room. It follows the one who's most real.